This next news story comes to us from The Gamer. I think this is right now. I got this in the right order, not this time. Sony has delayed several first-party PlayStation games out of this fiscal year. This comes from Joshua Robertson over, as I mentioned, thegamer.com. Cast your minds back a few months and you'll remember the big PlayStation showcase that was meant to amaze and delight everyone, showing us what we can expect to be playing in the near future. In actuality, the showcase was extremely disappointing for a lot of fans, lacking the massive blockbuster exclusive reveals that PlayStation usually reserves for a show of such magnitude. Well, it turns out that there may have been a reason for that. According to Sony's latest financial report, several first-party titles intended to launch within the current fiscal year were internally delayed and pushed beyond March 2024. Sony claims that the impact of changes on the launch dates of a portion of first-party titles has negatively affected its fiscal year 2023 forecast, meaning these games will now release either some point in mid to late 2024 or early 2025. Sony obviously doesn't name the games that were internally delayed, though we can take a good guess based on what we're still waiting on release dates for. Stellar Blade is a promising looking title we've seen a lot of, though it may not fall under the first party label since it's only being published by Sony. There's also The Last of Us multiplayer title that was reportedly delayed earlier this year. Another game that Sony may have originally wanted to release in the next 8 months. It's also possible that Sony may have wanted the highly rumored Twisted Metal reboot to launch close to the release of the recent show, though the reported switch of developers from Lucid Games to Firesprite may have thrown those plans into disarray as well. Apart from that, your guess is as good as mine. Obviously, this is just conjecture, but these delays could possibly be the reason as to why the most recent PlayStation showcase was full of vague CGI trailers. The games previously mentioned are only the ones that we know about or have been announced, and Sony could easily have had some unannounced titles in development that it was planning to reveal and then drop within a few months. And there's also reference in the last paragraph here about Team Asobi not really having anything on the slate. Blue Point, we don't really know what's going on. Ben Studio. So there's a lot of studios that are just like kind of in limbo at the moment. Yeah, very, very interesting. I guess, I mean, for me, I guess what's most interesting is
Did you notice somebody pointed out the other day? Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. There's a little bit of a delay on our call because my internet's wonky. Sorry. So you go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to point out, it was just a quick little fact that somebody said. Sony themselves has not put out a new IP this gen yet. It's all been sequels or remakes.
Really?
That's pretty odd, right?
Trying to think now. Yeah.
Returnal came out before Housemarque was bought.
Really? That's surprising. That's crazy. Huh.
Yeah, Returnal came out before they bought Housemarque.
So, Housemarque sale. Wow. So what is Sony doing? Like, I don't know. That's interesting. I didn't even.
You tell me, and we'll both know, brother.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. They've been putting out a lot of games, but you're right.
Go ahead.
It's all just been.
Yeah, they have.
It's been like you said, remakes or previous IPs. There's nothing new. Huh. I just kind of I wonder if maybe some of those could be what might be being delayed, unfortunately. Like maybe they're, because Sony can be very particular with their IPs and the quality of their games. I wonder if they are trying to put out some new IPs, and maybe like they're just like, oh nope, not good enough, back to the drawing board, something like that. I don't know.
And when I say new IPs, I mean actual new IPs, not the ones that are like obvious cash grabs, like all those 12 games that they're talking about, putting out the 12 live service games.
Yeah.
I know people are going to say, yeah, those are new IP. They are in like textbook definition, but you know what I mean, like an actual game.
Right, exactly. Sorry, I was trying to Google real quick. I'm curious about the Housemarque Returnal thing because I didn't realize that. I thought that was, let's see, that released in April 30th, 2021, and the sale happened, it was updated June 29th, 2021. Wow, okay. Yeah, so you're right. So even Returnal isn't technically a PlayStation IP, at least as of launch. Now they've kind of absorbed it, and it is now.
Right, it is now, but
it wasn't initially. Ah, interesting.
Right.
Yeah, I suspect, like as this article mentioned at the end here, it's I think number one, it's definitely that Last of Us game. Like that game we've been waiting on for so long, it just keeps getting delayed and delayed. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if it even just gets canceled. Like I seriously think they could, or maybe not cancel it.
I think
maybe
it's gonna
not
get
cancel
canceled.
it, but they've already talked about
Turned
doing
into something else.
Yeah, they've already talked about doing a Last of Us Part 3. Like if maybe it just gets folded into being the multiplayer mode for Last of Us Part 3. You know, I could see that happening as well. Or yeah, maybe even reskinned as something else. But I don't know. I could see it as getting, all right, yeah, in the next Last of Us game, it'll be the multiplayer mode. But I don't know.
Which is fine. I don't know. I don't want another Last of Us game right now. I want them to make something different.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe that's just me.
No, I'm right there with you. Naughty Dog puts out great games. Crash, Jack and Daxter. They had Uncharted and Last of Us, and like they have this long history of just great IPs. That I feel like, all right, we've had 2 generations now, PS3 and PS4 with Uncharted and Last of Us. Like, all right, let's move on to something else. Like it's like 14 years of just like the same thing. Like let's get something else.
I would love for them to do a new IP and to do a lighthearted thing. I feel like that would be a challenge for them.
Like go back to like their Jack and Daxter days, Crash days kind of thing, where it's a little more light.
I'm not saying it has to be like a mascot platformer, but just something that like, I don't know, isn't about the world ending.
Yeah, right. No, it's true. That Uncharted and Last of Us are so heavy, and Last of Us is even, with part 2, like even leaning even harder into like that heavy, emotionally heaviness. It would be nice to have something that's a little more like, oh, this is fun, not so like.
Prove to me, Naughty Dog, that you guys are okay, that you're not sad all the time, please.
Yeah, Neil, are you all right, dude? You doing okay?
Right. Are you guys okay over there?
You okay?
I hope you guys have like an on-site therapist or something. Good grief.
Oh man. That is an interesting note too about the Twisted Metal game. I forgot that there was kind of rumors of a Twisted Metal game, and that would have made sense for there to be a Twisted Metal game around the time of the show, or at least not at the same time, but within a few months, like, oh, new show this winter, play the new Twisted Metal, something like that. But yeah, I totally had forgotten about that. But yeah, I don't
think they were too.
If they had to switch developers, though,
pressed about that one.
Yeah, if they have to switch developers, like obviously, like that game's not coming for a while, so it's kind of like a big. I think that one probably got pushed back. That's one of those early 2025 at the earliest, probably.
Yeah, I don't think they were expecting Twisted Metal to make a whole lot of money, realistically, because I don't remember the fan base ever really being that huge for it.
Yeah,
even with the TV show, I don't think it's really gonna pop off that crazy.
Yeah, it's an iconic franchise. Like people immediately recognize Sweet Tooth and the ice cream truck and stuff like that. But I think you're right. Like it wasn't necessarily like a huge fan base. It was an iconic IP that didn't necessarily have like as much people backing as you would have thought based off of the hype every time you saw something. It's like I think people just got hyped up because it's recognized. Again, it's iconic, so people would see it, be like, "Oh my gosh!" But like half of those people aren't even going to touch the game, So yeah,
right.
Maybe not. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. I really wish Team Asobi would just put out another Astrobot game, because the what's it called on PS5, the one that they released for free with the PlayStation 5, like that game was incredible.
Astro's Playroom.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Astro's Playroom. That game was
was phenomenal. But apparently they don't. We don't know what's going on. They're not. Apparently they're not working on anything.
It's so crazy. Like
that's what I've heard people that say it. That's the rumor.
Such a good game. Like give me all the Astrobot. Like I would play in any and every form, every genre. I don't care what it is. Like, give me freaking, like, I don't know. So I recently been messing with some of the emulation software on my Steam Deck recently, and I realized I didn't realize, or I didn't remember. I totally forgotten that I have like Crash Bash and stuff like that on there. I'm like, dude, like imagine if they made like, yeah, like a fun like Crash Bash style game with like Astrobot, like those goofy little like Astrobots running around and stuff, and like little mini games and stuff like that. Like that'd be so much fun, something like that. So I don't know. That's just me. I like those little guys. I know some people knock it like, oh, they're just whatever. It's a stupid little mascot. I'm like,
you know how
it's such
I
a great
know
platformer.
that Sony didn't care about PSVR 2? Because there's no Astrobot game.
That's
Think
true.
about it. What's the best game that people said that came out on PSVR 1 by far, by a landslide, was Astrobot Rescue Mission.
Yeah.
Why, if you're making a sequel to that headset with upgraded gear, why would that not be the first game you put on your list to release with that hardware?
Right. That should have been launch game or near launch, you know?
A easy launch game.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. I think, who was it?
Rest
Someone
in
else.
peace, PSVR 2.
Someone was tweeting about it recently and like posted a picture of it, just like this. I regret the $600 for this thing, and like it was just a picture of this thing.
It was
covered
Ryan
in dust.
McCaffrey.
Ryan McCaffrey is covered in so much dust, like thick dust. Like, oh my gosh, so horrible.
Saved myself a cool 600 on that one.
Yeah, wild. That's what's so wild. It's so expensive, and there's nothing for it. Absolutely nothing. Oh man, I can't wait to see what the Quest 3 is going to be this fall. That's what I'm excited for. Forget PSVR 2. Give me that Quest 3.
Yeah, baby.
We only got like what,
sir.
another month or so before we probably hear about it. Next month or two. Didn't they say like September-ish we would hear about it?
Yeah, I would say September, October.
Yeah.
I would imagine September so they can get it out in October in time for Christmas.
Thank you so much for watching that clip from our podcast. Remember, if you want to watch the whole episode, the full episode, link will be in the description below. You can click on that and check it out. We got listener questions. We got more news segments. We got what you playing. We got a lot of fun things. So yeah, more than just the news. There's a lot more to the show that you should go check out. So remember, click that link in the description. Check out that full episode.